600,000 items on site, 6% of which remains in stock after 90 days, and 2,000 new added per day. This is Shein, the fast fashion giant and environmental enemy that fuels the industry. What is fast fashion? According to Merriam-Webster Dictionary, fast fashion is an approach to the design, creation, and marketing of clothing fashions that emphasizes making fashion trends quickly and cheaply available to consumers. Though you may have heard this term before, many people do not fully understand the implications and consequences that it has on our planet. As humans, we are always looking for the quickest and easiest solution. But how did we get here? The fashion industry has been ever-changing for centuries. Historically, fashion has not been seen as a source of environmental destruction, though as trends have emerged with social media, companies have had to adapt. The fast fashion industry, though it has been around for quite some time, has recently received attention due to the ongoing push for sustainability. Factory-made fashion has been dominant for centuries, yet the damage it is doing to our planet has just gotten awareness. Though with the known damages and recent push for change, companies like Shein have become the leaders in international retail. Shein is notoriously known for their affordable garments and their endless website, listing over 2,000 new products per day, from trendy clothing to shoes and accessories to home decor. Many items which many would consider obscure or unnecessary. Why is this problematic? As more and more items are produced, more hours are required in the factory by exploited Chinese workers. The working conditions are unimaginably extreme. According to a 2022 article published on The Cut, the wholesale clothing market in Guangzhou, China, that supplies Shein with hundreds of thousands of garments, has recently been exposed for their inhumane conditions and lack of environmental awareness. Within the last year, investigations launched into Shein factories revealed staggering information. A base salary of 4,400 yang per month, which is around $550, which is withheld until after the first month. Workers are paid 4 cents for each of an expected 500 pieces of clothing per day, with 18-hour days and 1 day off per month. In one factory, women were seen washing their hair in bathroom sinks during lunch breaks, and others were penalized for damaged clothing items by a third of their monthly pay being taken away. Consumers have also received items with haunting messages or cries for help printed on their tags. Though despite these messages and the horrors of the industry, the support for brands like Shein proceeds. According to Piper Sandler's annual teen survey, Taking Stock with Teens, Shein takes second place for favorite e-com site, right behind Amazon. Shein is now one of the largest online shopping sites due to the fact that production time is fast and there are endless options with new styles being added every day. Shein gained popularity in the past few years, and Shein's CEO, Chris Zhu, started his business selling women's clothes online in 2015, focusing on overseas markets. Zhu quickly assembled a design team, and in less than 2 years, he had over 800 designers and team members. Shein then opened a factory and shipping locations in countries across the globe. And in 2016, business skyrocketed across the world. A large contributor to the production of fast fashion are trends that society falls into. Many people do not realize that trends have been present throughout history as well as modern day. When an item grows in popularity, fast fashion companies are quick to produce them. Shein is a prime example because once a trend is set, the company will produce mass amounts of that article of clothing. This leads to the cycle of circular buy. There are 2 aspects of this wear and toss behavior. Firstly, clothing has gotten so cheap that it is easily discarded after being worn only a few times. Secondly, once a trend fades, people see these articles of clothing as old and unuseful. Both of these lead to the impact of landfills becoming a major carbon footprint. This harmful practice has not always been present. During the Industrial Revolution, fashion was able to progress as new textile machines were developed. Clothing was able to be produced in bulk as opposed to being made to order. Another important advancement was the sewing machine, which was invented in 1846. This allowed for clothing to become cheaper because of a huge surge in the scale of clothing manufacturing. As touched on before, most manufacturers force their workers in terrible working conditions today. Thus, This is all the more reason to stop buying fast fashion. Building off of that, many people do not consider how the clothes they buy affects the environment, when in fact fast fashion is quickly becoming a large issue as people purchase more and more clothing. Fast fashion is currently a large contributor to climate change, as some of the major issues associated with it are air and water pollution, contributing to greenhouse gas emissions, and the unnecessary land and landfill use, among many other things. Air pollution with the production of clothing itself, but also with the transportation of materials to factories and clothing to stores or one's houses. In fact, a study at York University in Toronto found some interesting statistics providing just how detrimental the fashion industry is to our environment, producing, quote, 8% of all carbon emissions and 20% of all global wastewater, with an anticipated 50% increase in greenhouse gas emissions by 2030. Much of the cheap clothing that people purchase will end up in a landfill, producing obscene amounts of textile waste, which is also connected to how the material is such poor quality. Fast fashion companies are turning to cheaper materials to use the production of their mass amounts of clothing to still make a profit while selling their product at such a low price. One material, viscose, is a cheaper alternative to cotton and is commonly used by fast fashion companies. And though this material may seem like an easy solution, it is not sustainable. Viscose can also be damaging to human health, as its production is a much larger contributor to greenhouse gas emissions than carbon, contributing to poor air quality. The production of the material uses multiple sources of energy: electricity, coal, and steam. It takes a lot of energy to produce the material, and the material is not easily degradable. While there are so many negative effects of fast fashion on the environment, there are some things we can do to lessen the harmful consequences of the industry, and it begins by limiting consumption. The most sustainable item is the one in your closet, so take advantage of the useful items you already have. When looking for new ones, check out your local thrift or secondhand store, as old styles always become popular years later. Though they can be expensive, look out for more conscious brands like Patagonia, and those who utilize natural materials like cotton and linen over synthetics. It is a lot easier than you may think to shop in favor of the planet, so show your support and ditch the fast fashion.